Hey there. Welcome to Good Advice Giver. First, we want to start by saying a massive thank you for tuning in today. Whether you're a long-time listener or you're joining us for the first time, we're truly grateful to have you here. We know you've got a lot of options when it comes to podcasts, so the fact that you're spending your time with us means the world. So thank you.
That's right. We're excited to have you with us because here on Good Advice Giver, we cover just about everything. Whether you're interested in sports, relationships, sex, money, finances, business, digital marketing, music, education, movies, comedy, or something else entirely, we've got it all. No topic is off limits here, and we dive deep into real, meaningful conversations that matter.
We've also got a mix of male and female hosts, so you're always getting a well-rounded perspective on every topic we cover, from business strategies to personal development, from car shopping to digital products like affiliate marketing. We bring a little bit of everything to the table. Our goal is to offer advice, insights, and some laughs along the way to make sure you feel welcome and engaged, no matter what brought you here.
And it doesn't stop there. We're not just about giving great advice, we're about action. On this podcast, we even sell products and services we believe in, from affiliate marketing opportunities to cars and more. So whether you're looking to boost your business or find practical ways to improve your everyday life, you're in the right place.
As always, we want you to stay connected with us. Be sure to download this episode so you can listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're commuting, working out, or just relaxing. And while you're at it, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. That's the best way to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and even giveaways.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're posting extra content there, including video podcasts and deep dive discussions you won't want to miss. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what topics you want to hear more about.
Lastly, check out the link below in the description for exclusive offers, resources, and more ways to connect with us. We're here for you, and we can't wait to bring you more valuable content. Thanks again for tuning in to Good Advice Giver. Let's get started.
All right, so welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving into Chicago PD. I don't know about you, but I am just such a sucker for these gritty police procedurals.
Yeah, they're definitely addictive.
But Chicago PD, I feel like it brings something extra to the table, you know? There's this raw intensity, this willingness to really explore the moral dilemmas of police work, and it's not afraid to get a little messy.
Right, exactly. And I think a big part of what sets it apart is how they use the city of Chicago. It's almost like a character in itself.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You know, you're not just watching cops and robbers in some generic city. You're right there in the thick of it in Chicago.
Right.
With all its history and its complexities. Like, you can feel the weight of the city's social issues pressing down on these characters and their cases. It's almost palpable.
Absolutely. It adds this whole other layer of depth and realism. You know, you get a sense of the different neighborhoods, the different communities. The show's not afraid to tackle things like gang violence and corruption, issues that are really rooted in the fabric of the city.
Exactly. Okay, but let's talk about the heart of the show, the intelligence unit. So for anyone who's not familiar with police lingo, this is basically a specialized team that focuses on, like, the really big stuff, you know, organized crime, drug trafficking, major cases. And at the helm of this unit, you have Sergeant Hank Voight, a character who is about as complex as the city itself. I mean, talk about contradictions.
Right. He is like the epitome of that whole morally gray area. I mean, he is dedicated to justice. Like, there's no question about that. But his methods...
Oh, boy.
He's willing to push the boundaries. Let's just say that. I mean, in one episode, and this is just one example, he actually plants evidence on a suspect to ensure a conviction. I mean, talk about crossing the line.
Whoa, that is intense. I mean, that's got to create some serious tension within the unit.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where you get characters like Detective Jay Halstead. Now, Halstead's a former Army Ranger, so he's got this strong moral compass. He's constantly bumping heads with Voight, arguing that their job is to uphold the law, not to become vigilantes.
I mean, it's going to be tough, right? To work under someone like Voight and try to reconcile those two sides of the job. And then you've got Haley Upton, another strong personality on the team.
Oh, yeah, Upton. She's a fascinating character. Initially, she's kind of drawn to Voight's effectiveness. You know, he gets results. But as she spends more time in the unit, she starts to question the long-term consequences of his actions. She sees how his methods can sometimes do more harm than good.
And then you've got the rest of the team, like Kim Burgess, Adam Rusek, and Kevin Atwater. And it's so interesting how each of them brings their own unique perspectives and experiences to the table, right? I mean, speaking of Atwater, I was really struck by how the show uses his character, being a black officer, to really delve into the complexities of race and policing.
Oh, for sure. His storyline offers a really powerful lens into the challenges that minority officers face. Dealing with prejudice from both sides, having to navigate a system that's often stacked against them, and facing the distrust of the very communities they're trying to protect.
Right. It's like he's caught in this constant push and pull.
Exactly. And there's this one episode that really stands out where he goes undercover in a gang-ridden neighborhood, and the tension is just like so thick. You can just feel the weight of his situation, trying to balance his duty as an officer with his own personal identity and his understanding of the community he comes from. It's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a lot to think about. And I think that's what makes Chicago PD so much more than just a cop show,
Right. It really digs deeper.
It's not afraid to tackle these difficult and uncomfortable topics.
Exactly. And it really gets you thinking about the human impact of all this crime,
Oh, totally.
Right.
Like, it's not just about catching the bad guys. It's about understanding the toll that it takes on everyone involved, the victims, the officers, and even the perpetrator sometimes.
Right. And that's something that Chicago PD does really well. It explores that psychological impact. It shows how the trauma these characters experience both on and off the job can really mess them up.
Yeah, for sure. Like, remember that episode with Haley Upton when she was struggling with PTSD after that undercover operation?
Oh, yeah. That was a heavy one. It really showed how the writers aren't afraid to delve into those darker aspects of police work. The stuff that most shows kind of gloss over.
Exactly. And it's not just Upton. You see it with other characters, too, like Kim Burgess. She's been through so much, and it's definitely left its mark on her.
And you can't forget about the relationships between the characters, too. All that interpersonal drama adds another layer to the whole thing.
Oh, totally. Like, you've got Burgess and Rusek. They're on-again, off-again thing. It's like a constant roller coaster. And then there's Halstead and Upton.
Yeah.
Their relationship is super complicated, especially with all the tension between Halstead and Voight.
Right, because it's not just romantic. It's about loyalty and trust and how far you're willing to go for the people you care about.
It definitely makes you think about where you would draw the line. If you were in their shoes, would you compromise your own ethics to protect someone you love? Or would you stand up for what you believe in, even if it meant losing everything?
Those are the tough questions that Chicago PD forces you to ask yourself. And I think that's what makes it so compelling. It's not afraid to get real.
It's like you're constantly trying to figure out whose side you're on. Because everyone has their own motivations, their own reasons for doing what they do.
And those reasons aren't always clear-cut. It's not always black and white. There's so much gray area.
Which I think is a reflection of real life. Things are rarely simple. There's always more to the story than meets the eye.
Exactly. And that's what makes Chicago PD so relatable.
Right.
It's not just about cops and robbers. Yeah. It's about human nature.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, but speaking of expanding the world of the show, we can't forget about the whole Chicago universe thing.
Oh, yeah. The crossovers.
But at first, I have to admit, I was a little skeptical. I thought it might feel kind of gimmicky, but honestly, they've pulled it off really well.
They totally have. It's not just like random cameos or anything. The crossovers actually make sense from a storytelling perspective.
Right. It's like you get these cases that naturally span across multiple departments, like that time when there was a massive fire on Chicago Fire, and then it led to the intelligence unit uncovering this whole criminal conspiracy on Chicago PD.
And then all the victims ended up at Chicago Med. It's like this whole interconnected web.
Exactly. It really shows how everything is connected. One event can have ripple effects across the entire city.
And it gives you a deeper understanding of how these different departments have to work together.
Yeah.
They don't always see eye to eye, but they have to find a way to collaborate to get the job done.
And let's be real, it's just fun to see those characters interact, you know? It's like getting a bonus episode when you get those crossover moments.
Totally. It adds a whole other layer to the viewing experience.
So yeah, I think the crossovers are a brilliant move, and they definitely set Chicago PD apart from other police procedurals.
For sure. But even beyond the crossovers, I think what really makes this show stand out is its willingness to challenge the audience. you know? It doesn't shy away from the tough questions,
Yeah.
the ethical dilemmas, the uncomfortable realities of law enforcement in a city like Chicago.
Totally. It makes you think about things in a different way.
It does. It's not just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's thought-provoking. It's engaging. It's a show that stays with you long after you've finished watching it.
It really makes you question, like, is it all worth it? You know, are those compromises, those morally gray areas, ultimately doing more harm than good?
Right. And I think that's a question that hangs over the entire show, you know? It's like this constant tension between achieving justice and the methods used to get there.
Totally. Like, remember that episode where Voight covers up one of his team's mistakes?
Oh, yeah, that one was a doozy.
And it ends up, like, spiraling out of control and leading to this huge gang war.
Well, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know, one bad decision leads to another, and before you know it, things have escalated to a whole other level.
And it makes you think about accountability, right? Like, who's ultimately responsible for the consequences?
Is it Voight for creating this culture where the ends justify the means? Or is it the individual officers who make those choices in the heat of the moment?
It's a tough one for sure. And I think the show does a really good job of not giving us any easy answers.
It leaves it up to the viewer to decide, you know, where do you draw the line? What compromises are you willing to make?
And I think that's what makes Chicago PD so compelling. It's not just about entertainment. It's about sparking a conversation, about making us think critically about the world around us.
Absolutely. It's a show that really gets under your skin. You know, it's not always easy to watch, but it's definitely hard to look away.
And I think a big part of that is the characters. They're so well developed and so relatable.
Yeah. You really feel like you know them, like you're right there with them going through all the ups and downs.
And even though they're cops, they're still human. You know, they make mistakes, they have flaws, they struggle with their own personal demons.
Which makes them all the more interesting, right? Because they're not these perfect heroes. They're just trying to do their best at a really tough job.
Exactly. And I think the show does a great job of showing the toll that this job takes on them, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah. It's not all car chases and shootouts.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the long hours, the paperwork, the emotional baggage that comes with dealing with crime and violence day in and day out.
And then you add in the whole Chicago backdrop, and it just amplifies everything.
Oh, totally. The city is like a character in itself.
It's gritty,
Yeah.
It's real, it's got this energy that you can't really find anywhere else.
And the show really captures that. It's not just some generic city. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
With all its history and its complexities.
So, yeah, I think it's safe to say that Chicago PD is much more than just another cop drama.
It really is. It's a show that makes you think. It makes you feel. And it definitely leaves a lasting impression.
So if you're looking for a show that's going to challenge you, entertain you, and maybe even keep you up at night, I highly recommend checking out Chicago PD.
You won't regret it.
And that's it for this deep dive into the world of Chicago PD.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time.